Yes, good morning, fellow Americans. Here once again to inform what's happening. Always requesting the freedom of Roger Stones, a man who's innocent, who was kidnapped from his home and is being imprisoned, even though innocent, in the prison due to the communist persecution of dissidents, of the conservative movement, of the conservative voice, which they do not want to hear, and they want to violate our First Amendment. That's what's happening in the United States. Communists, which used to be the Democrat Party, which has been taken over by the Communist Party or the Communist Movement, is now officially the Democrat Party, is now the CPUSA of the United States. Like I say here, once again, inform what's happening. There's a lot happening. Even from Israel, what happened is the problem I had to delete all the news from Israel because I had put it in my blog in Spanish. And after I made all that work, I said, wait a minute, I'm not gonna do, I'm gonna keep it in the Spanish section because it doesn't belong there. It belongs in the English section. So fortunately, well, tomorrow, if I don't forget it, my head helps me, God helps me. Hey, I'll try not to forget and have it next time. Even though I don't talk about Israel, because Israel is not a problem to the world. The problem to the world is the Islamic terrorists, Islam, a criminal organization. That's the problem. It's not the Israeli. Their book, the Quran, was based on the Torah from the Bible. That's what they used to create the book. That's what Muhammad did. He used that book. He wanted to get rich because he envied the Jewish nation and why they had so much money and so much wealth, and he was broke. The men didn't know how to read or write. They just told him to create a religion. That's what he did, and that's what you got today. After 600 years after the crucifixion of Christ, that's what we got nowadays. We got a terrorist organization committing crime wherever they go. They do not assimilate. They do not want to. Do anything but destroy our country. That's all they want to do. They're intending to, and they're getting in positions. Thanks to Barack, Barry Soetoro, alias Barack Hussein Obama, they have gathered a stronghold in the United States, which has to be eliminated. Just to be eliminated. Unfortunately, they do not want us to eliminate. They gotta leave. You want to practice your crap? Do it over there in another country. Do it where you destroy the area. You go over there. I don't even want to send them anywhere. They shouldn't even be anywhere. But at least to Somalia or I don't know, a country where they can't walk out of there, where they're restricted there. Period. You can't move out of there. Period. And if you move out of there, send in drones from right to left. You make a move, you're gonna go. You want to visit your 72 virgins? There you go. Look, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm not. Hey, I am a SMAT Islamophobe because when I see all the massacres that are being committed, when I remember 9/11, when I see everything that's happening, and the way they act and their conduct. Hey, I am Islamophobe. Oh, yes, I am. Just like they are Christianophobe. They are un-Islamic phobe. The Muslims are un-Islamic phobe. That's why they want to annihilate us. Because they hate us. So I gotta be Islamic phobe. Well, they're giving me a reason. Why not? Who tells me the contrary is lying? I don't care what the Democrats say, because Pelosi got a real nice tongue to speak out. But I bet she won't confront me and talk about that, because I'll tell her off. What happened is she's not going to accept it. And she'll try to put me down, or she'll try to get me out of the area. Like all of the Democrats do. They won't let you, they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear what's right. They don't believe in justice. They only believe in a system that, just like Cuba, destroyed Cuba and Venezuela communism, or an Islamic state. That's all they believe in. They believe in submission, slavery, enslave a nation where your mind is controlled, period. You don't no longer belong to yourself. Where they can decide whether you live or not, like they're doing with abortion. They want to fund abortion. They want to fund illegality. Because if you want to fund illegals, you want to violate the law, which is an illegality. So let's go to the news. Nope, that's not it. Listen to this. With the money it pays to jihadists, Palestinian Authority could buy 378,143 coronavirus test kits or 465 ventilators. In the meantime, the Palestinians got their country ruined, the economy ruined, the people suffering for necessities. But they don't give a crap about it. They're just sending it to the jihadists. Here, go kill them. Murder, mass murder. And then when they need help, like the I don't know if it's the prime minister. I think I don't remember his name. I don't know if he's a prime minister. But I remember when he got sick or his wife got sick. I think it was him who got sick. They didn't go to an Islamic state to attend themselves. They went to Israel. You know, that's how shameless these people are, and corrupt, evil, and hypocrites. Let me go to the next one. Germanistan. Yeah, Germanistan. I don't know if we could put it that way. The words I think fits it. Germanistan. Leftist officials push to bring in more Muslim migrants amid coronavirus pandemic. You see the extreme left, which is remember this lady Merkel. She's a socialist, and she belonged to the National Socialist Party. You know, she's still a Nazi. She's still a Nazi as well, a socialist. National Socialism for the Nazi Party, and she's a socialist. You know, what they do is they steal from their, even now. The worst yet, they're stealing from their own people. She's giving it to the Muslims, the people who want to create a caliphate and overtake Germany and destroy the German culture. Am I Islamophobe for saying that? It's true. Go to the next one. What you got to do, Germany, you got to get rid of Merkel. You got to put in a person who's a nationalist, not an extremist. I'm talking about a nationalist, like Trump, a person who loves his country, not a hater or an extremist, a person who wants to protect his country and develop his country, a businessman, a true lover of his country and his people, not a hater like Hitler was, an extremist, a lunatic. No, talking about a patriot. Merkel is not a patriot. She's evil and twisted, wicked and twisted. Let's go to the next one. From the religion of peace. Former Houston-based Iman says non-Muslims are worst of Allah's creations. Treat them like that. That's from the religion of peace. This guy who's in Texas, in Houston, Texas, and a man, why is he here? Hey, Trump, why is he? Why isn't he deported? What happened? What happened with the DOJ? The DOJ. What happened? What happened? He doesn't have the power to call ICE and tell them, hey, grab this person, arrest him, and ship him out of here, and close down the center. It's not a religion. It's a criminal organization, and for such, it should be shut down. It should be expropriated and turned into a meat market, a pig market, a pig meat market. Yeah. Take out the shrines, take out, convert it into a meat market, or a Christian church, or library, or a medical facility, or what, I don't know what the hell you want to do with it. Just remove it. Any signs of what it was, or what it is, and then what it was. And let's go to the next one. I'm not going to go to the bad news. I'm going to try to go to all good, well, at least not much good news. I'll listen to, we'll put down the videos. The videos are great. There's a lot of great videos. Women arrested for not socially distancing. This is in New York. If I'm not, yeah, New York. The communist city of New York, the communist mayor, run by a communist mayor. Okay, there's more to read. What I suggest, you go to my blog, Eduardo Rodriguez, I pledge allegiance to the flag, and read everything else, because if I'm going to go through all this reading, let me go to the videos. The videos are better because the video says a lot in a few minutes. Let's go to this one. Oh, no, wait a minute. This is too long. This one is too long. I want to go to something short. Yeah, this one is okay.
California Lib Gavin Newsom admits what Dems plan to do during this crisis. Welcome back to the Next News Network. My name is Elijah. Please check you are subscribed by clicking below, and as always, turning on that bell and sharing news reports. Christina Lila from the Gateway Pundit reports, and never let a crisis go to waste, right? California Governor Gavin Newsom said that the CV is an opportunity to create a new progressive era. Take a look.
I'm wondering if you see the potential, as some others in your party do, for a new progressive era, if you want to call it that, in national politics and policy, and whether there's the opportunity for additionally progressive steps, such as the ones that I listed on the national and state level going forward, because of this crisis.
We've had some very deep policy conversations in this space now for weeks. Let us remind, despite the fact that California was running historic economic output in terms of our GDP growth, in terms of our net, from job creation to low unemployment to record reserves, surpluses, the wealth distribution, the income inequality was not something that was substantially improving. And that's the case across the rest of the world. As IT and globalization detonate at the same time, you're seeing that concentration in fewer and fewer hands, the middle class feeling squeezed. Increasingly, the trend lines were suggesting what is self-evident become a headline, and that is we were going from a three-class society to a two-class society. So something was fundamentally flawed in that global context, manifested quite acutely here in the state of California, the richest and the poorest state, with a number of the most impoverished metros in the country. We've long been struggling to address those issues. So I see this quite substantively through that lens, that equity lens, looking at those folks that never fully recovered. You look at medium wages for folks coming out of 08, 09 in the Great Recession that haven't fully recovered, even today that are struggling. And so what is going to happen to those folks in this current crisis? And what's the opportunity, to your question, for reimagining a more progressive era as it relates to capitalism? And I'm a capitalist. I'm a small business owner. I'm a job creator. Well, my customers are the job creators. I'm a beneficiary of their support. And that helps build that demand that allows me to hire more people. And so as a former business owner, now governor, I have had that experience, and I have that appreciation of the importance of consumer confidence, consumer spending, and a vibrant middle class. And so, yes, forgive me for being long-winded, but absolutely we see this as an opportunity to reshape the way we do business and how we govern. And that shouldn't put shivers up the spines of one party or the other. I think it's an opportunity anew for both parties to come together and meet this moment and really start to think more systemically, not situationally, not just about getting out of this moment, but more sustainably and systemically to consider where we can go together this historic moment if we meet it at a national level and a state and subnational level. So answer is yes.
The CV panic has caused unemployment to spike in the wake of unprecedented shelter-in-place orders from local and state governments. President Trump just signed a mammoth $2 trillion CV economic stimulus package, and Congress is already working on a fourth bill. Governors have closed down churches and small businesses because of the CV, stripping Americans of their First Amendment rights. Pastors are being threatened for holding church services and in some cases arrested for defying social distancing guidelines. Newsom, who considered declaring martial law in a couple weeks ago after the CV deaths in the state, praised the revolution. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Have a great rest of the week. I'm signing out.
Thanks for sticking around. The coronavirus has us all stressed out, making us age even faster than before. Our skin sags, our hair thins, joints become stiff, recovery from activity.
That was shorter than what I expected. How long this one lasts? I want to go with something short and to the point. I wish I had Mark Dice. Mark Dice has just makes my day. Okay, this one's short.
Well, welcome to our third coronavirus edition of the Huckabee Show. And by the way, we're practicing safe social distancing by keeping our theater empty and our minimal crew and team safely separated. I'm actually operating from my remote studio 460 miles from our theater. And like you, we are all ready to be back to normal. There will be such a thing. But we also take the virus seriously, and you should too. I've had friends and acquaintances who have been infected and know personally a few people who have died from it. Those who scoff at the seriousness of this need to think about this. Do you really think the NBA, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, the NCAA, the Masters, and other sports would shut down and lose billions of dollars if not for a real pandemic threat? Would entire nations impose absolute quarantines? And would major corporations close their doors? And would the president urge a virtual shutdown of our nation's economy during an election year if this weren't deadly serious? Oh, I know there are some conspiracy theorists who say that the scope of the danger is overblown, but few who say such things are public health experts. Perhaps we will find that there was an overabundance of caution and maybe some things could have been tempered. But in major cities like New York, Chicago, LA, Detroit, New Orleans, Miami, and yes, Nashville, the cases have multiplied from both a densely populated area with lots of tourists coming in and out, but also because many people just didn't take it seriously. Now, most churches in the nation have closed their on-campus services to conduct services online. A few kept open, but they took extraordinary measures to try and protect the attendees. One such church is the River at Tampa Bay Church. It required attendees to separate 6 to 10 feet from others. They supplied hand sanitizer at every door for every attendee. They spent $100,000 for a hospital-quality airflow system, and they had every staff member wearing gloves. But this week, Sheriff Chad Chronister of Hillsborough County, Florida, actually arrested the pastor, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, because he conducted church services. Think about that. A pastor got arrested for having a church service. Now, he didn't sneeze or cough on people. He didn't deny the virus was real, and in fact, took great precautions to maintain social distancing at the church. But he was arrested and taken to jail because he opened his church. Now, remember, nobody was forced to attend. The attendees arrived on their own, and one wonders why those who attended weren't arrested as well. This is going to set up a colossal legal battle as to whether the government at any level can tell a church, synagogue, or mosque that it cannot provide religious services to its members. Now, my own church is doing services online and not on any of its 5 campuses. And personally, I think that's the prudent choice. If my church did have services at any of the locations, to be honest with you, I'd opt to still be involved online just to protect myself and, more importantly, my family who's quarantined with me. But should the government actually arrest a pastor for having church? And if government can shut down a church now, when will some government decide that a church is dangerous because it believes what the government deems to be wrong? If a church who believes the biblical pattern of marriage of one man, one woman is considered discriminatory, is the pastor going to get arrested for that? If a church believes that men and women ought to have separate restrooms and dressing rooms and gender-separate dorms and showers at youth camp, will the pastor be arrested in jail for not following what the government deems right? Matt Staver and our friends at Liberty Counsel are representing Pastor Brown, and we're going to follow this case very closely. But while I believe the risks to public safety and life are real from the coronavirus, I also believe that we cannot and we must not sacrifice our First Amendment guarantees of freedom of religion, free speech, and freedom to assemble. I urge you, protect your family during these times, but be equally vigilant that government doesn't become itself a deadly virus that will kill our liberties and turn us into a police state. Now, if you're seeing this, I know you've enjoyed that video. I mean, how could you not, after all? So, you know what you should do? Leave a like, click on the subscribe button below, and hit the notification bell next to it so you'll...
Like you said, give it a like. I'm going to put this one. I think this one is already old news. Don Lemon cries over Chris Cuomo's health. You know, this guy's incredible. This is a piece of work. No wonder the ratings of CNN has gone down to the pits. Maybe he's crying for that, not for Chris Cuomo. Let's go to the next one. I don't even want to hear it. Wow, that's a lot of videos. Like I said, that's a lot. I'm going to try to see if I can reduce this a little bit to the shortest ones.
Where is the week or the number of days of greatest attack? What will be our worst day, if that's possible to decide? I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, and how many deaths exactly are you expecting?
So as you can look in the places that are the most difficult hit right now, the Detroit area, the New York area, the Louisiana area, and we are doing it by the counties in those states because there are, mostly it's metro areas and the bedroom communities around those metro areas because people went to work and got exposed and came home and exposed other. If you look out in New York now, you see that it's in Long Island and it's out in Suffolk County and Nassau County. All of those counties, Wayne and Oakland, they're all on the upside of their curve of mortality. So you know when you get to the peak, you come down the other side.
And when will that peak be?
So by the predictions that are in that healthdata.org, they're predicting in those 3 hotspots, all of them hitting together in the next 6 to 7 days.
Tens of thousands of deaths in that period of time?
You can go to the website. It's variable. Each one of those communities is different, but you know where New York is, how much their mortality has been, and you know what we're seeing today are the people who were infected 2 or 3 weeks ago. If mitigation in New York worked, and we believe it is working, the cases are going to start to go down, but the mortality will be a lag behind that because of the comorbidities and other conditions. So that's why all of the predictions are that this next week, and I think we said this last Sunday when we talked about the charts. And it's difficult to do. And we tried to prepare the American people to understand that you have to, as much as you go up, you have to come down the other side, because coming down is a reflection of the cases that were coming in before. I'd rather not say a number, but the numbers are available if you go to the website. I mean, you can see that there's several hundreds per day in New York. And I think Governor Cuomo has talked about that increasing still into the 500, 600, 700 range a day.
I keep talking about hydroxychloroquine. Is that the question that nobody ever asks, and the question that I most hate the answer to, is what happens if you do have a ventilator? What are your chances? And I just hope that hydroxychloroquine wins, coupled with perhaps the Z-Pack, as we call it, dependent totally on your doctors and the doctors there. Because you know the answer to that question. If you do have the ventilator, you know the answer to that question. And I hate giving the answer. So I don't want to get them there. I don't want to get them there. There's a possibility. And I say it. What do you have to lose? I'll say it again. What do you have to lose? Take it. I really think they should take it. But it's their choice. And it's their doctor's choice or the doctors in the hospital. But hydroxychloroquine, try it if you'd like. The other thing, if you have a heart condition, I understand. Probably you stay away from the Z-Pack. But that's an antibiotic. It can clean out the lungs. The lungs are a point of attack for this horrible virus. But when you have a ventilator, don't ask the answer because I hate it. If you have it and it's working beautifully, I don't like the answer because it's not a very high percentage. So I want to keep them out of ventilators. I want to keep them, if this drug works, it will be not a game changer because that's not a nice enough term. It will be wonderful. It'll be so beautiful. It'll be a gift from heaven if it works. Because when people go into those ventilators, you know the answers, I know the answers, and I'm glad you don't write about it. Mike, please.
It's going to be a difficult week for the American people. You will see testing increased around the country, and so cases are going to continue to rise across America. And before I give a few facts relevant to an earlier question about ventilators, let me add my voice to what the president just said and what all the physicians who've spoken has said. Even though we see the losses rising in the days ahead, do not be discouraged, because there is evidence across the country that Americans have been putting the social distancing and mitigation into practice, and it is making a difference.
Let's go to the next. This Acosta is a trip. Jim Acosta, I think is his name. If I'm not mistaken. Law professor slams Acosta. Let's see this one here.
Hello and welcome back to TST. If you're new to the channel, tap on the subscription button and press the notification bell so you can receive news and updates that you can rely on daily. Due to a temporary lockdown of pretty much everything for the emergency situation, we're currently unable to report news from our studio, and instead, we're reporting the channel remotely from home. Well, stay tuned and keep watching. Constitutional law professor slams Jim Acosta. He says CNN's echo journalism model is destroying the media's credibility. CNN's Jim Acosta just can't help himself during the daily coronavirus task force press conferences. He's always trying to score political points by asking gotcha questions. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley criticized Acosta's behavior during White House coronavirus briefings.
Jim Acosta's interruption of Dr. Birx is an example of how CNN's echo journalism model is destroying the media's credibility. Turley tweeted on Saturday, "Every question from Acosta is an effort to score points rather than elicit information. It is a press pandemic that continues to rage without relief." Turley, who was referring to Deborah Birx, the response coordinator for the task force, was a GOP witness during the Democratic-led impeachment investigation against President Trump. Acosta drew the ire of several journalists for his combative style during White House briefings on the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus pandemic, including from Fox News' Brett Hume, who criticized Acosta for interrupting the president. "Back when I was a White House correspondent and when Sam Donaldson was before me, we asked aggressive questions," Hume tweeted. "But we were respectful and almost never interrupted or argued with the president." John Roberts Fox and a few others still observe such customs. Too many now don't. Acosta and Trump have clashed several times over the years, with the president calling him a rude, terrible person in 2018. The White House briefly revoked Acosta's press badge that same year, which prompted a legal challenge. Watch Jim Acosta interrupts Dr. Birx as she criticizes the World Health Organization's response to the coronavirus.
All around the globe, country after country is dealing with this. And we can talk about why didn't Italy do something, or Spain do something, or Germany do something, or we can really say right now, we all can do something. We can do the social distancing and all of the pieces that we know is starting to work around the globe in country after country. And then when we get through all of this, we can ask the questions about, could we have done some piece of this better as a global community? I will remind you that on February 3rd, the head of the WHO said there was no reason to ever do a travel ban. It wasn't until January 14th that we knew that there was human-to-human transmission.
The president was saying this was going to go away. It's April.
It is going to go away.
This president, you said it was going to go away in April. You said
I didn't say date. I said it's going away, and it is going away. Okay.
Watch the explosive exchange that ultimately ended in Jim Acosta having his hard pass revoked.
One of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign, in the midterms, that
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling
me. And why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this
No,
election
not
to
at
try
all.
to keep?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's
I
not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let me
would be
ask
much
you,
better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I
That's
was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse me.
President.
That's enough.
The other folks, that's enough. Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President.
That's enough.
Mr. President, one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation, are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming
investigation because it's a hoax.
Are you?
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter at the buses.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either. So
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. You repeatedly said.
You are the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly
over the course
Okay,
of the...
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, no, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of the last several days of the campaign, sir.
Share your thoughts and responses in the comments down below. If you've loved this report, let us know by tapping that like button down below. Share the news among friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe.
Leftist media is just terrible. I want to show this one about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a trip, another trip. This is the candidate for the Democrat Party. What an embarrassment.
To avoid dealing with empty. How annoying. Older Joe Biden forgets the question he was asked again. Welcome back to the Next News Network. Please check your subscribe and clicking below, turning on that bell, and always sharing these reports. Christina Lila from the Gateway Pundit reports the Trump campaign slammed Sleepy Joe on Thursday after he forgot a question he was asked during a press briefing. You asked the third part of your question related to whether or not what was the third part of your question, actually? You asked three pieces. Biden said, looking lost. Take a look.
You asked the third part of your question related to whether or not, well, what was the third part of your question, actually?
He's not up for this, folks, the Trump campaign said. Biden can't even hang from the comfort of his own living room. Joe Biden simply doesn't have what it takes to lead the country. He's sitting at home taking softballs from a handful of reporters while President Trump does the real heavy lifting. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Have a great rest of the week. And as always, may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.
Thank you for watching that report. In a time of crisis like the spread of the coronavirus, staying prepared is the most important thing. And a great place to start is storing food in your home. I'm prepared, and I even ordered more to protect my family. The only way, though, to not get caught up in the chaos is to have a plan, one that allows you to avoid dealing with empty store shelves, long lines, and in the worst case, desperate people. Now, the experts at My Patriot Supply have told me that orders have now reached about 100 times their normal volume, and they are shipping on a first-come, first-served basis. So I urge you to add your order to mine today. Take action so you are ready for what's coming. You can save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website. It is linked down below, preparewithgary.com. Do not wait any longer. Go to preparewithgary.com and get your order in right now. We'll see you at the next report for the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi. Thanks for watching the Next News Network. Tap here to subscribe to the channel to get the latest news and alerts. Tap here to watch our latest breaking news and our top stories.
I'm almost finished here. Pathetic review, the New Orleans blame. Let's see this one. I'm gonna end with this one. This more. Like I said, go to my blog, and you're gonna see a lot more. This one is short.
Boom! Dr. Fauci debunks media lies about Trump's work on the health crisis. Welcome back to the Next News Network. My name is Elijah. Please check that you are subscribed by clicking below, turning on that bell, and sharing these reports. Nick Arama from the Red State reports that Democrats and some in liberal media are going all in with the theory that President Donald Trump downplayed the Wuhan CV. But then they would have to deal with the fact that he always took it more seriously than they apparently ever did. There's no one who knows that more than the man Trump appointed to his task force back in January, Dr. Anthony Fauci. The president has his own style. That's obvious to the American public. When I speak to him about issues that are substantive, he listens, Dr. Fauci said, according to the Daily Caller. Take a look.
The president has his own style that's obvious to the American public. When I speak to him about issues that are substantive, he listens. I think he always understood the seriousness of it. Right now, as the numbers are becoming crystal clear, he himself is articulating an awareness of that seriousness. But from the beginning, he always took it seriously.
Well, there goes that media narrative. Looks like Fauci just exploded one of their chief talking points. Thank you so much again for watching. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.
Thank you for watching that report. Security warnings were published by the Department of Homeland Security's
There's more.
cybersecurity,
Like I always say, there's more.
infrastructure security.
Like I always say, go to my blog, And you're going to see a lot more, because there is more, and more to read. Like I always say, God bless you, Donald Trump. You're doing the best. I always pray for you and your family. I always pray for my country. I always say to God, God bless my country eternally. And I always pray for Israel. And my last words I always say is, I stand with God and Israel eternally. Also, I pray for the freedom of Cuba from this evil nightmare of communism. And I pray for Venezuela, Nicaragua, North Korea, and China, that they be liberated from the grasp of this nightmarish precept which has destroyed these countries. So God bless you all, and see you next time. Bye-bye.